Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Josh, and today we have a very exciting episode of the Stahls TV Morning Show where we're going to be talking about online marketing, specifically with Facebook. Also, later in the episode, we'll give you a tutorial on creating that faux rhinestone look for decorating apparel. That'll be from Mark Marola, and Zach will share with you how to pick the right e-commerce site for your business. So a lot to cover in this morning's episode, but before we get there, let's first talk about a post that was on Ted Stahls' blog, which is tedstahl.com, all about vinyl cutting blades. Did you get a chance to read the post?
I did, yeah. It was very insightful, and one issue we see a lot with decorators.
Yeah, so if you have a vinyl cutter, or even just if you're in the heat printing world, period, we'd recommend following Ted Stahls' blog. The particular post that I'm referencing, we're going to call up a picture from it. It has to do with setting the proper depth of your cutting blades. So for those of you with vinyl cutters, this is one of the biggest issues that we see when we visit a customer that's having problems cutting heat transfer films. They just have their blade set way too deep. It's important for decorators to understand, if you look down on the blue part of the blade there that's showing how far it travels into the heat transfer material, this is magnified about 50 to 1. We're talking just the tip of the blade should be extending from the blade holder. So you can read this on Ted Stahls' blog, but what problems are there when you don't have the proper blade extension? Yeah,
I think with the proper blade extension, one issue we run into a lot is skipping on the material, so we see a lot of perforated lines, inaccurate cuts, so a lot of decorators have issues with this whenever the blade's extended a little too far.
Yeah, people don't realize how important a blade is to cutting, so it's important to have the proper extension of the blade, and also if you're going to be cutting a lot of stretchy materials or high-tech materials that you're seeing out there for performance wear, you need to have a sharp blade, so replace that blade more often than you are currently. So that's our helpful tip for the day. Let's talk about marketing with Facebook. So we had a poll question that launched prior, and it looked like about 50% of our audience had a Facebook page set up, and about 50% does not.
Right.
So just to kind of kick things off here, Facebook obviously is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the importance of Facebook for business. What do you think that you would share with a decorator that doesn't have a Facebook page?
Yeah, I think it's one key way to engage with your audience, but it's also one way to have your business be found and be noticed. I know personally, I look a lot for businesses online before I make any kind of purchase. So especially if you don't have a website, the Facebook is key in being able to get your message and your brand out there to businesses and different customers.
Yeah, and it's free. If you don't have a website and you're looking to establish that presence for your business, setting up a Facebook page is one easy way to do that. For those of you out there that already have one, maybe you're active in it, maybe you're not, but it's definitely a way. If you're active, if you invest the time and the proper strategy towards it, you can really grow your sales and attract customers through Facebook.
Yeah.
So today, we'd like to focus a little bit about how to do that as far as what types of content to create, more ways to engage with an audience, and basically how to build your business through Facebook.
Right.
So let's kick it off basically with starting what types of content should a decorator be sharing on Facebook?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of tips on how to set up your page, but specifically to content. You want to have something that's engaging to your audience and your target market that you're looking to reach. And one of those things, for me personally and for a lot of people, are pictures and videos. So I'm a huge photo person. I even said earlier today I actually use Instagram even more than Facebook because I gear towards more photos and that engaging content. So being able to share things like that, I think, is huge.
Yeah, and from a decorator's point of view, I think that's great. It's like a picture's worth 1,000 words. It travels on Facebook too. It's not just an age-old saying, but when you're talking about what types of photos and videos for a decorator to share, I mean, obviously on our personal profiles it's easy. We're sharing pictures of our kids, of what we did this weekend, whatever it might be. But for a business, give us some ideas of content we can share through photography.
Yeah, I think it's the same principle kind of applies as your personal page, where you want to be sharing what your business is doing, what it's looking to do in the future. So being able to share pictures or videos from your actual production shop, or even just garments that you're being able to, or that you're printing right now. So one recommendation I have is being able to show customers wearing the garments that you've printed if you have an actual photo of them from the event or the sporting event that they've actually attended wearing your uniform or your t-shirt. That's one way to not only share your customers and get their feedback, but being able to create engaging content.
Good, good. So sharing the finished garments from a customer wearing those, whether that's a cheer camp, at the Little League field, whatever it might be. But also one way is when you're writing the order, maybe having your customer just check off that it's okay if you share photos of the work as it's traveling through the shop.
Right.
I don't know about you, but anytime I've been to an event on site where there's heat printing or embroidery or any type of decoration, you start to see the crowds gather around the actual process because they want to see how it's made. It's interesting. There's entire TV shows on how's it made, right? So being able to share videos or photos throughout the process of, you know, here's how the t-shirt started and here's how it's been printed is some pretty engaging content.
Right, absolutely. And now with the videos automatically playing on Facebook, it's one way to get customers to shop and really see what you're sharing in their newsfeed across all the other noise that's on there.
Okay, and so obviously I can upload a photo directly to Facebook to share finished looks and styles that we can create or ideas. And you're saying you can upload the video content as well. What are the benefits of uploading to Facebook versus, say, a YouTube and then sharing it across?
Well, actually, they found that the engagement is usually higher, the views are higher if you share it directly to Facebook versus using a YouTube site and linking it in. So that's one reason that people do it directly.
Excellent. Okay, so being able to upload direct. So those are some content ideas. As far as publishing of actual content, is there any certain type of time of day that you find for decorators that works out well?
You know, I've seen varying reports on what's most popular. Usually people tend to say, you know, the early afternoon, so lunchtime to about 4 o'clock on weekdays is when a lot of people tend to be with heavy traffic on Facebook and things like that.
Yeah, and it's probably just knowing your audience. So if you're selling to or appealing to a group that, you know, comes home from school and gets on Facebook, or a group that's on late at night, just think about your audience that you're trying to reach and start scheduling posts around those times. And you can schedule them too. You don't have to be there to do every post.
I think that's one thing that a lot of people miss is being able to use the tools that Facebook has afforded, like the scheduling post.
Okay. Any other ideas on content before we move on to the next topic?
I think that's mostly it with content, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about how to engage the audience. I think is our second tip, or one issue that expands more on the content.
So actually, yeah, using it as a social tool and not just talking at the customer or the fan, being able to create that sort of two-way conversation. What are some tips to get started with that?
Some different ideas that I have, obviously, are being able to get a response back from the audience. So you can use questions for that. Fill in the blank is one that's really popular. So being able to ask questions if you're in the spirit wear or sporting good industry as, what's your plan for the weekend? What team are you rooting for this week? Maybe if you have some rival high schools in your area, you could actually ask, what team are you cheering for, and then share a picture of a Spirit jersey or a fan wear that you have for that team.
Good, good. And with that, you know, an interesting way to get people to engage is to offer them something for free or to do a giveaway. So if you have a fill in the blank, maybe you run it as a weekly contest where your fans can know this day, every week, this contest goes on, I have this ability to win this product, decorated fan jersey, jacket, whatever it might be, and all I have to do is do fill in the blank, and if I get chosen as the winner, I get that item. So that's a way to get that engagement. Run giveaways. It doesn't always have to be with a question or fill in the blank. It just can be a random pull from the fans or the people that are liking your page. There's a lot of different ideas to build engagement. I have some other ideas here. So tell us the difference between like versus share for those new Facebook.
So a like is something that would show up specifically just on that image. Share would then actually go out to other people in the audience. So a lot of people will use the share technique traditionally to get their brand out to other people's friends or other people's the people that follow them, and kind of create more of a presence for the brand and being able to get noticed more. So one unique way people have done that is they'll actually pose a question similar to I'll use the team example. So what team are you cheering for this week? Like if you're cheering for the Bears, and share if you're cheering for the Hawks. So that way they would actually share with all the Hawks fans, and they can get maybe some more referrals for Spirit Wear for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when a viewer clicks share, it basically hits their news feed for their whole audience to see it as well. And that's just an extension, and the message sort of travels for people to connect with your brand. So good. Okay, so we talked a little bit about content, a little bit about engagement, and what do you suggest? I mean, obviously we talked to a lot of decorators that are watching today that have small businesses, 1 to 3 employees. They can't afford to dedicate a lot of their time to this because they do all the tasks associated with their business. So just as far as managing Facebook, any tips for a small decorator?
Yeah, so definitely leverage other content when you can. So you talked earlier about the scheduling aspect of that tool in Facebook. That'll help you set up, you can set your week for your post and then know that you only have to do it once a week or twice a week. So you're not every day getting on there and doing your posts, but also leveraging content that other people are writing or that's relevant to your audience. So other websites, other blogs, other pictures, quotes, things like that.
Yeah, so just basically you don't have to do original content every time, which obviously takes a lot more time.
Right.
It's just plugging into things your customers or your audience is interested in, sharing that in order to build active content. That's key, right?
Right, yeah, making sure it's relevant to them and you're not just sharing pictures of random things you're finding on the internet. Of course, you want it to be relevant to what you're selling and what your customers are interested in.
Okay, and what frequency? Do you have any suggestions on frequency? How many times a day should somebody update to have a relevant Facebook page?
I've seen varying studies on what's relevant. Most people will traditionally do 2 to 3 times a day if they can commit to it, as long as you're actively sharing content that is relevant and that's important. You don't want to just share things just to share.
Okay, good. So hopefully, I don't know if any questions are coming in, but feel free to direct those. If not, if you have any questions about marketing with Facebook that are coming up throughout the segment, feel free to jot those in. We'll have a chance to come back at the end of the session and address some of those questions. But hopefully this sort of whets the appetite for marketing with the Facebook page. It's free. It's definitely a place where customers are. There's a huge audience on Facebook, and you can be reaching them through your business. So once you engage and get them to like you on Facebook and connect with you, the next step, of course, is realizing a sale. And one way to do that is by having a good, solid e-commerce site. We're going to throw it over to Zach for a section on picking the right e-commerce site. Thanks, Josh and Courtney. Good morning, everyone. E-commerce can be a very large portion of your growing business, but choosing the right e-commerce platform for you can be difficult because your needs are different than the needs of the next person. So in today's segment of Dare to Compare, I'm going to review 3 of the most popular e-commerce solutions. Before we get into those recommendations, I'd like to define exactly what an e-commerce site is, just to eliminate some confusion. An e-commerce site is one specifically that is designed to take orders from your customers. It's not just an informational site where your customers come to learn more about your business or to learn about your product offering. It's one where they can actually place an order for your particular product or your particular service. So there's lots of things that we do need to consider when thinking about the right e-commerce site for us. So let's get into that. The first one that we're going to look at is called Shopify. And what Shopify does, it's one of the fastest growing and easiest to use e-commerce platforms. And one of the reasons why is because it gives us great payment processing options, shipping options, and coupon codes, which you'll find those types of things are things that you need to compare across all of these sites. And you also need to consider how tech savvy you are based on how easy it is to update these sites. So there are a host of things that make Shopify great. First, it's built specifically for e-commerce. While some e-commerce providers, like there's a company called WooCommerce, that's an add-on to WordPress. Shopify, on the other hand, is built specifically for commerce from the ground up. It's not an add-on initially to informational sites. And Shopify has taken the approach that Apple has taken to the iPhone and iPad App Store. Shopify comes standard with some extremely powerful features, but you can start connecting your site visitors to an even better shopping experience by adding apps to the store. I'll click over here and give you an idea of what the pricing looks like. Shopify is going to start you out around $29 per month for what they call a basic site. A monthly fee is going to apply with almost any type of hosted site solution, which are the 3 sites that we'll be looking at today. They are all hosted site solutions. Hosted sites tend to be better for those of us who are not tech savvy, because if we decide to host the site ourselves, we have to have a developer background to do all the customizations and things that we need to do. Where a site that's already hosted comes with a monthly fee, they provide the hosting, they provide a lot of the customization, and all we have to do is kind of point and click to make the site look the way we want it to look. So Shopify has lots of great templates and tools to choose from. And basically you can set up and be taking orders within a day or 2 if you know exactly what you want to load on the site. One of the most difficult things about getting a site loaded with any one of these platforms
is going to be your product photography. So spend a little bit of time on that, thinking about how you want to show the product. Another large e-commerce provider is called Volution. And Volution comes in at about half of the price of Shopify. You can see here the mini version is about $15 per month. But to get all of the features that you may need or to get the full benefit, you can look at their most popular plan, which is about $75 per month. So Volution doesn't offer near the same customization as the Shopify platform. If you don't need your site customized all that much, then Volution would be a great low-cost option for you over here at the $15 a month. However, at $75 a month, Volution does offer integration with eBay and Amazon stores here in their Pro plan. So if you have a product that you think is going to travel well across the country and benefit from those third-party marketplaces, Volution would be a great option to look at. A third option that I would encourage you to consider is Squarespace. And Squarespace tends to be a platform that more photographers and artists use to display their work because of the extremely artistic templates that you can see as we scroll through some of the options that they have. However, they do have a commerce portion of the site that is extremely simple to use and provides a nice interface for your customers to find what they're looking for. And Squarespace also has an extremely competitive price point. You can get all of the features available on Squarespace for $26 a month. So all three of these sites are going to provide great SEO. They've taken that into consideration. SEO is simply an acronym that stands for Search Engine Optimization. And what that does is it brings you up in target market. So if your target market is larger than just your local town, you'll start coming up in searches after some time. I want to show you one more option. Even if you don't go with any of these e-commerce platforms, you decide not to have a website at all, you need to get on Google for Business. This is a completely free option. You can register your website or register your business on Google for Business, and people can find you when and where they're looking for you. So visit some of these sites. All of them offer you a 14-day free trial. So take advantage of that, load your products in, play around with the administrative controls, and see which one is going to work best for you.
Excellent. Thanks for that helpful section, Zach. Now, we do have some questions coming in, so I want to take a moment to just address some of those before we move on to our next section. One of those is related to the Facebook section. So Rex had asked, do you think it's a grave mistake if you have a business Facebook page to only post once a week versus the daily frequency? What do you think about that?
I think it's content first anytime you do any kind of social media post or any kind of marketing. And so if you don't have the content to fill 3 or 4 posts a day or 2 or 3 posts a day, then I don't think it's a grave mistake to have one solid post a week as long as you're still staying relevant and the content you're providing is key. But I think you'd be surprised when you get started with creating a Facebook page and really building out your content, how much you really have to share when you think of the garments you're printing or the product lines that you're offering to your customers, specials, and different production techniques, things that you can really share and build out. So you can easily probably get to at least 2 or 3 a week with that content.
Okay, good. And just on the Facebook topic as well, Kathy had an experience, I guess, that she shared where she had a Facebook page, and the problem was she had some other local printers more or less hijacking her photos or her work. And obviously, some of that's always possible, but you want to sort of hold your ground, and I believe you have some claims to your original work,
right.
Especially, but she decided to form a Facebook group instead, which has helped her be able to block out certain people from being able to do that. Now, what I'll say as far as the group is at some point, depending on how big your business is going to get, the group's sort of capped out as far as how many people can like a group or be a part of a group. So you'll just want to compare the difference between a group and a page. I personally prefer a page, but groups are an option. And then, Zach, we have a question for you, if I can kind of draw you into the set here. On the e-commerce sites, do you think that these are particularly good for apparel decorators? What would you recommend because you're dealing with custom items, and how would you address that?
Right. Custom items are difficult for a lot of these e-commerce sites. I am pretty familiar with the Squarespace site in that you can add forms to your products to where you can allow for customization. It's not going to give you a great visual or a live visual of what that customization looks like. Your customer won't be able to see what their name in particular is going to look like, but you can place custom orders using forms options on those websites. There are, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there is one in our industry that allows for personalization, and I would imagine that they would expose the API, which then you're going to get developers involved to tie that into your website. Do you happen to know the name of the one that I'm thinking of?
No, Inksoft, is that what you mean?
Yeah, Inksoft.
Yeah.
So check out Inksoft. That does allow for personalization and customization of the items that you're going to sell.
And then Shopify also has sort of a database of plugins, and I know some of those relate specifically to personalization. And when you're working in Shopify, there's full tutorials in there, more than we could share here. We're just trying to get you started in one of the platforms, but with Shopify, there's different product variables, so you can sort of add some level of customization, especially as it relates to size and color of shirt, to sort of manage your inventory as well.
Yeah, so definitely take advantage of those 14-day free trials. All three of the sites we showed you today have that, and you can go in and kind of play around with a product or two and see if it's going to work for you.
All right, there's a lot more questions which we're going to come back to, but first, we don't want to miss this part because Mark Marola in this previously recorded segment is going to show you how to create faux rhinestone designs with your vinyl cutter and a sharp cutting blade.
Rhinestones have been one of the hottest trending products for decorating women's and children's apparel for some time. Everybody wants to bling, but the problem is it doesn't always fit the budget. What if you could offer a close alternative to this popular decoration for less money? Do you think you could make more customers happy and win more jobs? I do. To do any garment decoration, you got to start with a design. Rhinestones are no different. Once you have your rhinestone design set up, you have to load up your cutter, send the stencil material through it, cut out your design, apply it to a backer board, then go in and brush in the stones. After you brush in the stones, you put your heat transfer tape over it, and then run it over to the heat press. At Stahls, we have an alternative, which is utilizing our CAD cut hologram. Now, the hologram rhinestones, our faux rhinestones, give you the look of a rhinestone, gives you all the bling that you want, only it's permanent. You have that same design, you don't change it a bit, you can send it through to your cutter, cut it out, weed it, apply it. That's it, simple. Okay, now we have the material all cut. I went through, did two different colors of the faux rhinestones, and then to add a little bit extra bling, I cut some of the glitter flake out. Now we're just going to weed these. Now that my rhinestone design is all weeded and ready to go, we're now going to put it on a shirt. I'm going to show you how easy this actually is. That's it. If you recall how easy that was, we basically set up our design, mirror imaged it, sent it to the cutter, and cut out the faux rhinestones out of the CAD cut hologram. Brought it over to the heat press. You remember how easy it was to weed it, peel it up, press it, and go. Now you've got an extremely blinged up shirt. For Stahls TV, I'm Mark Barola. Thanks for watching.
So hopefully that gives you some ideas. We want to thank Mark for coming into the Stahls TV studio and completing that video, as well as many others that are available on stahlstv.com. And we have, I think, upwards of 400 videos now on stahlstv.com.
Quite a few.
So if you haven't checked back, be sure to check the site. It's changing pretty much every week with new content categories. The homepage has changed, where there's a lot of stuff specifically for different types of decorators, and we're trying to help you find the content that you need to ultimately grow your decorated apparel business. So I think we've managed to get to most of the questions. I will say there were some other suggestions in addition to Inksoft. Deco Network is another good solution for decorators. It was pointed out, so Patrick, thanks for that advice. And I think that pretty much covers us for today. For those of you that have problems with the video portion of today's broadcast, we want to encourage you to download the GoToWebinar client and actually launch and log in through there rather than going through the web-based solution. We found that this is often the reason you're not getting video in addition to the audio. So what are we talking about next week on the morning show?
So next week we're going to talk a little bit about sales call success. So how to make a sales call, what points to hit, and how to successfully find new customers through sales. So we look forward to seeing all of you next Monday, and we'll see you then.